an oversight institution to make sure that the councils perform up to expectation. The function, for the councils to function, it is our responsibility to make sure that councils function as they are expected or mandated by the law. And we have been frustrated for these past 2 years. What has been happening? Councils were coming here, we were sending them back and forth to make sure that things are done properly, because our problem is we cannot allow things to go on as usual as they were going on. And we were expecting, after engaging the council, reprimand them, we thought that they will be able to do as they are expected, but to our dismay, they are still doing the same thing. And we realized that this thing cannot continue. This is why we decided for a call for this meeting. And today, we want to tell you that we are very serious about this thing, and we want to make sure that after today's meeting, the first phase and the second phase, things will be completely different, and the council should be functioning as they are expected. So, as the chair said, we want a fruitful and a frank discussion. We don't want to be here blaming at each other. What we call you for is for you to come and we sit as a family, look at things thoroughly, together. We all have a responsibility to do. We have a job to do. And the job, we must look at it together and see the best way to do it, and we do it in that way. We are not here to blame each other. Please let us all put our suggestion and come to a conclusion, and we all work towards that. This is why we call you here, and we thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I think much has been said. One thing I want to re-emphasize, we are here as a family, and we need to engage each other on points that are very frank, so that we can arrive to a conclusion. It's not about witch hunting, it's not about a blame game here. We have a problem, and all of us can attest that we have a problem. So the most important thing is, how are we going to solve this problem? The problem unidentified remains a problem. Thank God we are able to identify the problem. If my memory can serve me, only few councils as their report, and we were able to reach a compromise. But when you come to detail audit finding, we look at the management response. We should not even pass those financial statements. But here is an issue: how can we bridge this thing? One thing that is important, as highlighted by the chair and the previous speaker, that by virtue of our we are here for a period, and what is incumbent upon us to write a legacy, and that legacy cannot be done in the absence of interacting with you. Remember, we also came from a respective region of the country where these councils exist. So we definitely want value for money. That is very, very important. Let us have a sincere talk on this issue. How are we going to bring here? We have the technician, the ministry is here. You have the audit department, the GPPA, and all the council with the exception of these three. Let's make a frank talk and have a starting point, so that we will never think about this issue of reporting when it comes to the financial statement. So let us think critically, and what is possible, we go for it. Thank you so much.
It's okay? Somebody?
Thank you very much, honorable members. I would just like to pass the mic to the Honorable Auditor General and its team so they can just brief us on the problems they have been facing in regards to the Council's submission of financial statements since this legislature came into being. Thank you.
Of course, Madam Chair, we are going to be receiving financial statement from councils and obviously in our report. Where we do receive the allocated financial statement, I'm going to let my colleague here to speak more on this. Our concern with the area councils has reached a level where we eventually set up a special unit to work with them and help them to so that their finance system is top of the day, that they can report on current year. That's where we are. So I'm going to give the Bakari the director of they are elemental. Problems are generally elemental.
Thank you.
Thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity to share the culture during our audit exercise with the council. If you can remember when the House even asked me to put some points together about some of the constraints that we're facing, I insisted. I said our audit reports are shared. The ministry are copied and the National Assembly as well, they are sent here. And then even though councils has not been preparing financial statement, but as National Audit Office, we don't have that liberty. If we are private audit firms, I can tell you we will not even embark the audit on this area council because you know that the risk is very high. But as National Audit Office, whether they prepare the financial statement or not, it is still an obligation on us to go and then audit the transactions, the internal controls and the weaknesses, and then come up with the implications and the recommendations. And these are done year in, year out. That is the management letter. The financial statement, it is critical and it is key because all the transactions, all the money that you are spending, all the money that you are receiving is the financial statement, the financial status, financial position of the council. Without that, I can tell you the audit, it is for the stakeholders to be informed accordingly. So this is the problem we are facing, and this is what triggered the Auditor General to create a unit. And then staff with staff that will be meeting that the councils are very critical as far as National Audit Office is concerned. That is more of the reason why the Auditor General established this unit. We will be here. Most of the time when we go to the regions now, we spend 3 weeks. 3 weeks. The whole team will be there for 3 weeks. And then what I always tell them is like, you have all the opportunity now. You're supposed to be preparing this financial statement before we even embark on the audit to our office. But nevertheless, whilst we are there, we will still give them the opportunity to prepare the financial statement. After the audit exercise, we will still give them the opportunity to work on the financial statement. I told them any document that is provided to us, it became our responsibility to review and report accordingly. But if it is not submitted to us, there's nothing we can do. And for audit to be relevant, it must be done and concluded on time. You cannot leave it open-ended. I think this is the constraint we have been facing. It's only few, and then even the ones that have been submitting, it doesn't mean that you can just put figures and submit it to audit. It has to be credible. The source document, where those figures come from, need to be thorough and then audited. But you cannot just put figures, send it to audit just for the sake of our submitted. So there must be a minimum requirement which will also allow the auditors to either accept or return it for you to do a further work on it. This is the constraint that me and my team has been facing, and then we feel that it is necessary for all the stakeholders to come on board and then see what needs to be done about it. Unfortunately, as auditors, we don't get into policy decision when you come to the, we have your policy document, we will review, this is what's supposed to be done, and this is what's on the ground, and then we report that gap. Because we are not involved in when it comes to policy decision making, and then I think I was very careful, when in terms of taking decisions, to be honest, yeah.
If I may add, Madam Chair, just to say that regarding financial statement, because here we're talking a lot about them, these are decades old problem. Not only one decade. This has been a long time problem. If we want to start, perhaps what will require, it will require a complete overhaul. Meaning that it's the National Assembly, only the National Assembly that can determine where we begin. The accounts have to be cleansed and restated, and it must be the National Assembly who can say, okay, we agree before we start a new trade. It cannot be just preparing finance statement. The balances that are brought in need to be credible. How do you certify that from an old account that has never been audited? So it is a whole lot of work. It's not an easy task. Let's not look at this as it's a lot of problem. The good thing is that we have been carrying out transaction audits all this period. So if anything, we will only go back to look at the financial statement over the periods, cleanse them, restate the balance, and begin a fresh page. Essentially, that has been the approach to have a good financial statement. Thank you.
And moreover, to add on what the original is saying, when they present their financial statements, for me, I have never seen any of their assets stated on the financial statement, like the amount of vehicles they have, the cost of their building, their properties and whatever. You see, we only see financial income and expenditure, and it's necessary to know the assets of the council, so that you can properly account for what the whole total net worth of the council. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Anyway, what I cannot understand is with them, they can prepare the activity report. And the activity reports, where do they derive the information that is stipulated into the activity reports? And it's the activity report. It's from the activity report that you can at least come up with your financial statement, because it's the day-to-day activity of the council that should at least reflect on the financial statement as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Auditor General and your team, and also the subject matter specialist on those insights regarding the problems you're facing. I will just put the questions right back to the chairman of these councils. We've heard from the Auditor General that the issue of financial statements of the council is so important to the point that they set up a special unit to handle councils and their financial dealings. But regardless of that fact, regardless of the fact that they will take their time to visit these councils and do the audit. What do you call that audit, if I may be reminded? The audit you do when you go to the councils. Not the financial statement audit. The transactions audit, and give you the opportunity during this period to prepare your financial statement. Still, it doesn't happen. So I'll put this question right back to you for you to tell us as a committee, as a team here, in order for us to find solution. What are your problems? Why can't the councils prepare financial statements? This is just for during, because we understand these problems has been going on for decades. But for the period that you came into this position, what are the problems you are inquiring? What would you like for the committee to do, or for the ministry to do, in order to assist you solve those problems? What can we do together as a family to change what is happening now? I'll put it back to you. Any one of you, feel free to answer this question. You can take turns in answering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me also take this opportunity
recognize all of us here present, all the stakeholders, the district, leader generals, the Honorable National Assembly members, my colleagues in local governance, and all other protocols. I firstly want to also appreciate this opportunity that we have to be here as a family to discuss on the prevailing issues related to the financial management system, if not the accountability process of our councils. We would not I will not say anything different from what already has been said relating to the problems at the councils which we inherited. But somebody said we will not keep on talking about the issue as something that has been happening in the past, but we will rather look for solutions for it so that it is addressed once and for all. Relating to the question of the chair, it is definitely real that as far as our councils are concerned, there has been some audit processes going on. But I stand to be corrected as up to now. The periods that are being assessed may not fall generally within the period of our stay in office. But that will also not give an excuse. I will still go further to say still the problems exist. So because of that, I would want to believe that part of why we were not able to produce tangible financial statements would be there are no proper plan processes, be it activity or budget. So if we do not have a correct budgeting procedures and expenditure, to produce tangible financial statements will be just a dream. Okay, so I think in the past and up till now, we still have that challenges of spending outside the budget, unplanned spending, which we inherit. Although I can confidently say this is drastically reducing, and we are currently working on having plans to make sure that we spend according to the plan. I'm sure by now almost all the councils have their strategic plans. And out of the strategic plans, we are now developing annual work plans and budgets. So that will go a long way in addressing our way of expensing, from our coffers. And I think gradually this will address it. But I want to finally agree with the submission of our Honorable Auditor General. If I am allowed to make probably a suggestion, I want to believe that for audit purposes, up to 2018 or probably 19, we would still live with this problem of not being able to provide tangible. Of course, financial statements can come, but they are not realistic. That's the fact. So up to 2018-19, I will not be able to speak firmly for all of us, but I will definitely believe that proper financial statements may not be produced because, a lot of spending outside the budget, a lot of unplanned spending, this is what we inherited, this is what was going on. So, and budget audit processes that have been taking place are still referring to those years that, this kind of, procedure was going on. So my recommendation will be, we look at a total overhaul. We look at a total overhaul that will include all of us sitting and with the authority of the National Assembly to give us that leverage to say, okay, as far as this is concerned, we conduct an assessment. This is what we can do. Start from here now. We open a new page and let's have things, done properly from now on. Then we will all measure ourselves to that. I think that will be more realistic, and that will be my recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, we'll allow you.
Hello. Good morning once again. I'm Ibrahim Jacob Sane, Chairman Janjambore Area Council. And then I feel that it is good that we are together as a team looking at this. Because development cannot just come until and unless people work in at the same pace and on the same focus. I feel that financial statement, to answer the question simply, my guess is people are not trained. We cannot do what is expected of one family. I think our financiers need training at the level of the council. But then that's a simple answer that I have. But I have some suggestions which I thought may be able to push up more auditing than it is. That's my belief. Because when you come, you want to look at what it is, the activities against the finance. That's one thing. But then the question is, those activities you are corresponding against the expenditure, are they justified? Because I have come to believe that at the council, you have 3 levels of dealing with the finance. You have the politicians at the council level who are responsible of authorizing expenditure. You have the CEO responsible of doing the expenditure, and you have the financiers responsible of keeping the funds or making them work. Now, if you are looking only at what you find at the level of the financial director or the CEO established, that's the activity against the spending. If you are satisfied with that, do you want to say, within my suggestion, that those are the words of the councillors? Did they say all those activities which are being seen, have they come from them? So in a nutshell, I'm saying, when the auditors come, it is proper for them to go through also the councillors or the council to make certain that those activities which are written down, which are being audited with the spending, are those which have come from them. Because anybody can write anything, especially what is happening. I have been talking about it day in, day out. The council, the chairman is not responsible of the finance. The finance, the signatures there are the signatories are the CEO and the finance director. And then I'm not saying they are bad, but I'm saying they could be bad if they so desire. And then that would be not within the understanding of the chairman or the councillors. So if you come to the council, you look at those activities which have been written by those people who can take money from the bank and who can spend it. I think still now there's a little bit of gap. That gap can only be justified when whatever is to be spent should go through the council, written down, and then when you come to audit, you ask what those people have against the spending that has been done. Then you can get the activities clearly. But then if you find whatever you find at the level of the finance director, and you term that those activities are justified, they are those activities which come from the council, to me, there's a gap in between. I am sorry, I am not a good financier, but I'm very, very much concerned about the chairpersons being away from the monetary sector, and then they are being challenged. We've been brought here. If I have to tell you the truth, I don't understand financial statement. We have come from different walks of life. Because of politics, we are in such positions. And then if you want to, we just learn through mistakes since I took office. That's what I have discovered. There is no fast and fact rule as stated by my colleague here to say this is the line that we follow. We do it in our own ways, come up with answers in our own ways, and then I think we need help, serious help, if we are to command development within the country. I thank you very much and I apologize.
Thank you. You're going to come in. Sorry. I would just allow Mr. Auditor General to say something. He wanted to raise something.
Yeah. Because he says something about the audit, so I just wanted to clarify that particular that when we go there, we limit our access to the staff, not only the staff, not only the politician. So the council. Of course, talking to the council, Chairman Sale, is very good, and it will provide us with third-party information. So it is good to talk to councillors and all. But I think the problem with councils are about the systems and procedures that are not in place. He spoke about the chairman not being a signatory to the chairman. Essentially, the chairman is supposed to set up an internal audit unit that reports to him directly. The internal audit unit is supposed to pre-audit before even the payments are made, to say that they are accurate before payments can be made. If it is not, and can be rejected. So your instrument should be the internal audit to be used so that you provide that oversight function over the CEO and the Director of Finance, who are the signatories to the checks. Then you will not be bothered. Because essentially, of course, the ultimate responsibility is the executive officer, the chief CEO. He is the accounting officer. Definitely, he should be the signatory to the check. You are supposed to provide, as chairman, oversight function, supervise, make sure that he does things in the right way. I think what we should do is to work on our procedure manuals in our various area councils to make sure that the processes, systems are in place and can be followed. For example, as chairman, you need to know how much your council is able to collect annually. You will not know that if your people don't go down to assess. And according to area council manuals, yes, that's what we're supposed to do before we even prepare our budget. We go with our assessment forms, assess field not complete, and then prepare our budget based on the revenue that the assessment forms are. Councils are not doing that any longer. So we must work on our own processes internally, get those things right, and make sure that they are rigidly followed. Then we will know how much we can collect. If there is a shortfall, you need to explain. And in fact, in our manuals, when there are variances, you need to explain. As the accounting officer, Director of Finance, he needs to explain why he could not collect $10. If so, $10 was supposed to be our total revenue for the year. If we cannot get it, it was reported. The variance must be reported, and the causes, of course, indicated for management and, of course, the supervisors, the councillors, to say something about it. So our contact with the the staff. Yeah, that is the appropriate way. That's the only way we can. Of course, like I said, in talking to you and you're giving us another information dimension, it will give us another dimension to assess the information that we got from the staff. But our primary, contact people are definitely the staff of the council. I think we are right in that approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If I may just state, I already like the way the discussion is going, because he mentioned the problem and he has just offered a solution to the problem. Probably this solution was even unknown to the chairman, that he had responsibilities to set up an internal audit unit, and I just heard about the procedure manual. So I like the way the discussions are going. Let us keep it this way. I will just allow the internal audit, Mr. Chawale, to shed light on the issue further. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. I also want to inform you that the audit has, the dimension, the way we have been conducting audit has changed. Now we focus most of the time on the operational issues. Maybe you might not be aware, but I think even during our audit exercise, I had the discussion with you as the chairman, and then the way I had that interaction with you, you might not know, because we have that, the manner to interview each and every staff, being the councillors also. We have the opportunity to talk to other councillors also, but you might not be aware of. So the way I interviewed you, got information from you, is the same way, I had interview with the other councillors also. You might not be aware. And this is the same way. When we go to, at times the structures differ. When we go to certain area council, we look at even the way the councillors, the committees, the various committees, especially those in the finance committees. Most of the time, I can tell you, we get most of relevant information from those in the finance committee. So we don't neglect or leave any committee unattended. Yeah.
Thank you. I would just allow another chairman to, the chairman of Kuntawu Area Council, please, to answer the earlier question. Thank you. Kerewan Area Council.
Thank you. I am happy to see this forum to come to a family discussion. It's a problem that is affecting the country, as it is mentioned. And then we are the duty bearers of what we are doing for our electorates. I would be thankful to this committee for inviting us to make a family discussion. What I wanted to ask is in the form of a question. Has any training been offered to our CEOs or financial directors when these problems were established? Because we cannot continue to surface all these problems that are in the councils. It would be better if at all after the audit exercise, we organize a training program for some of our operators that are in the council that will help to remedy some of these problems that are within the council. And secondly, sometimes when I have discussions with my team, they would tell me, we are using manual auditing exercise that is recording in books. And some of our activities as in the councils also, what's happened, they are not planned, as the chairman said. Sometimes you will be in your office, you will have a request from the community coming down to the chairman for approval to be implemented. If you set yourself to the task of this is what we are supposed to implement, it is rather difficult with because we don't have any policies with the local people. They think when there is a disaster on their side or calamity on their side, the only place to face is the councils. So you should understand that also with us. This is the problem that we are facing with the local people. They have no policies. They have what they would understand. Let me go to area council. They rescue us from our problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. What we are saying, we are not saying that you are not holding responsibility of the general public. We understand your problem. But the issue is, we want to know, because people know that you generated funds, but we want to know how these funds are managed. We want the financial statement to be attached to this thing. I think your answer should state it on that. No, we understand the unplanned spending that the chairman just raised. We understand the situation because we all have councillors who are working with the chairmen. But our major concern is the general outcry of Gambians is that mismanagement of funds are done by council most of the time. So we want the financial statement to be attached to your report so that when we are laying this in the plenary, we will have explain it correctly so that the layman on the street can understand how you are going, what you are going through.
Madam, Honorable Madam, I would say I understand how things are, but I think that question, people like the CEOs are the people who are responsible of financial aspect of it. I think their difficulties would be highlighted by themselves. For us, we are technical and policy makers. We implement policies. So for them, they are responsible of financial aspect of it. And their constraint would only be known by they themselves. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a suggestion.
Okay. Okay. May I just say, we there was a question that the chairman were supposed to answer, and then we will come again with other questions. So can we just allow them to finish answering that question that we threw earlier, so we can get on? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for giving me the floor. Good afternoon to you all. The question that was asked by Honorable Chair, I would like to attempt to answer it. I think one of our problems is our audit department, internal audit department, needs to be strengthened very well. I'm sure if our internal audit departments are strengthened very well, things of this kind will not be there. The other thing is my colleague also lamented on something, which is training for the finance directors or the finance department in general. What I'm suggesting is, immediately after audit departments in almost all the countries, if possible, if auditors can come up with a plan that is to train people so that we can have one standardized way of reporting our financial statement, I think that will also minimize the incompletion of our financial statement. So I am thinking, if possible, let auditors come up with a standard way of writing this financial statement. Like then we used to have problems with our budget, yearly budget. But when finance came with a program, a 2-day program at Tendaba, that all councils are now adopting that way of preparing that budget. I think that has minimized the problem of budgeting for us now. We are all preparing our budget as expected. So I'm sure if audit also came up with the same strategy, I'm 100% sure things of this nature would not be repeated again.
All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm the chairman of the area council. Chair, thank you very much for inviting us here. We really appreciate the invitation. Just posted to answer the question that was raised to us. What I have to inform the Honorable Chair, that is, councils have some capacity gaps which needs to be addressed. As council, we have some financial constraints that we are facing. Most of our CEOs and our finance directors need capacity on their work. They need some capacity training, which most of my chairperson has dilated, which is the actual fact. And the second issue is we need government intervention in this, because most of our positions, or the CEO positions, needs some upgrades and needs some support so that they can able to perform effectively. As chairpersons, we are doing well to make sure that things are going as expected. As just the chairman has just said, the finance department has provided us with a guidelines on how to prepare our budget. If we can have the same from the audit department, that will also help us much. For the purpose of the councils to generate and to plan themselves, we need some capacity building. On that note, I thank everybody.
Thank you very much, Chairman of the different councils. We thank you for giving us an insight and offering solutions for the problems you are facing. Before I move to the ministry, I would just like honorable members, if you have any further questions relating to this particular question that you would like clarity on before we move to the side of the ministry. Thank you. Honorable. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm very the first question that I will raise with the chairman, Bella. You're talking about proper planning. If you want, I want you to explain more about this proper planning, because here open office, whether you were there before or not. I cannot bear with you telling us 2018, 2019 cannot get proper auditing because you took an office and you know there is a capacity there. But then at the level of your councils, I want to know again, which time you took this office as the chairperson, because you met the CEO there and the financial director. I don't think we can absorb 2018, 2019 because these are public funds need to manage by the councils to reflect on the taxpayers. And I don't know actually, but then you can dilute more about this proper planning. Okay. And again, this for 2018, 2019, all councils were here. Then we give resolutions to all councils that you should act on. But then we don't see any impact on that resolutions. Most of councils. That is your question. But then the second question that I have, that is the chairman of BASI. You mean there are many expenditures that are carried out, and you mentioned politicians. Who are these politicians? Who are making spendings that BASI, Janjambure? Who are these politicians? Because we know in councils, it's a trend before, whereby they will ask the chairman or the CEO, do this, when there's no road that is hooked on your neck. There's nobody who will force you people to miss public fund like that. And I want to know who are these politicians. Again, you have a big role at the council there, because if you check Local Government Financial and Audit Act 2004, I can concur with the Auditor General that sections is budgetary powers and procedures. Section 8, subsection 4, the chairpersons of the councils shall cause to prepare not later than 30th September of each and laid before a council's estimates of revenue and expenditures of the councils for the ensuing financial year. So you have a big role. You cannot allow certain expenditures are carried out without your notice. So did you want to tell me that? Sorry for saying that you'll be a Maybally in the councils. You have big role to play. This is why the electors give you that powers. They have trust on you to monitor on their funds coming in. You must work with these financial directors and the executive officers, hand in glove. But you can't see them, being a, I don't know. Sorry to say, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Before Auditor General, before I allow you, the Honorable Chair of this committee has an observation. So we'll allow him. Honorable Amor. Yes, please, sorry. We'll get back to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I just want to make a few observations with regards to the way we are approaching the issue, because we've heard from the chairpersons of all the councils, and I believe we have the financial directors and the CEOs as well. We intended that the Local Government Service Commission was supposed to attend, and that was the first thing I was observing, and I did write to find out from you whether they are in attendance, but the response I got was no, they are not in attendance. Whether they have been reason to or not is something that we will follow up later. The approach, Madam Chair, I want us to take is we've heard from the chairpersons, and what they've highlighted, we have taken jottings of what they've highlighted. Again, we can go further down to the councils to hear if the financial directors or the CEOs may also have something different from the issues that have been highlighted by the chairpersons. When we gather all those informations, then we can allow the ministry, which is the parent ministry, to also come on board. And from there, we can go back for them to tell us what do they think are the solutions in addressing these problems. During that period, we as a select committee, together with the Auditor General's Department and the GPPA, we can probe in here and there to ensure that we reach a common position, after which nobody will stand to say that I was not involved, or I wasn't aware, or I don't have the idea of doing it. So I want us to exhaust all avenues so that all relevant information will be had, because the beauty about this is it cannot be the same way of doing things. We said we have to change the status quo, because look at it, since we started receiving councils, we cannot go to plenary and share with plenary as per their activity reports and financial statement, which is a requirement. Look at the 2019 the engagement we had with the councils. The report is still not laid in plenary because it has a gap. And if we dare go to plenary and present that report, our competency will be questioned. And it's a must on us also to present a report at plenary. So one thing must be done. That's why I want us to take this approach where we will exhaust all issues and come up with agreeable solutions in addressing the challenges that the councils are confronted with. That's my proposal, but I mean, somebody can also differ, and we argue to reach a common position.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I like that proposal of yours, and I would suggest we adopt that proposal for time purposes as well, so that we can get from, everyone would be allowed to participate. So honorable members, I will just plead with you to hold on to your questions for now until we get all the information necessary, and then we'll do follow-ups. So I would, instead of giving the mic to the ministry, if you would allow me, I would allow the CEOs of the councils to come in and answer the same question that was posed to the chairman. What are your problems? What is stopping you from producing audited financial statements? We'll take it, you can take it per turn, one by one.
Yes, good afternoon once again. My name is Basit, he's a CEO of Montecongo Area Council. According to my experience as CEO, there are only 4 factors to me affecting councils. Though we have our shortfalls, but also I think we also have some successes during these past years. Number one problem of councils is capacity. Because we know during the past years how staffs of councils were being employed. Staffs were employed on political grounds. It's easy to employ, but it's difficult to relieve. That's number one problem of council. That's the capacity gap. Number 2, uncomputerized systems. Councils are still using the manual systems. And I think now we are moving to a digital world whereby we should do away from this manual works. Without computerized systems, I don't think councils will be able to produce correct reports. Number 3, councils must adopt one accounting system. From Banjul to Basse, I think the ministry can help, the National Assembly can help to make sure that, and the Auditor General can also help to make sure that councils use one accounting systems. Because, for example, when you go to Banjul, they're using different systems. When you go to KMC, they're using different systems. When you go to Birkama, they're using different systems. But for the rural areas, there is no council that is using a computerized system. We are all on the manual basis. 4, all these things cannot be achieved without improving the revenue basis of councils. Councils are still using the 1965 license tariffs. When a bag of cement was only less than $30, now a bag of cement is almost $300. We are still using the $5 systems and the $10 systems. On rates and taxes in the provinces, councils are using only $110 for a compound. So without improving the revenue basis of councils, I don't think councils will be able to achieve these goals. Thank you very much.
Well, just to say thank you very much. It seems you came very prepared. I like how you handled your observations. Thank you. We'll go to the next one.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon once more again for allowing us to be here. I think this is an opportunity for all councils to gather here today and to hear from the National Assembly Select Committee and the auditors some of the problems confronting councils. Like, if I am to continue from where my previous speaker has mentioned, we have numerous problems that are faced with councils. Most of the problem, like he has alluded to, is the capacity, especially in the area, but I think the finance directors will also talk on that. I want to believe that no matter how many universities you have attended, if there is something that you cannot do, and you cannot do, you can never do it until you are taught how to do it, or it's explained to you briefly how to do it. So I want to believe that when I took over also, I realized that budget was our problem. But when the ministry intervened with the Minister of Finance, that one now is history now. So if the financial statement also stand to be a problem for councils, I know with the level of caliber we have with the councils, I believe there is no financial director, and there is no CEO who is untrainable. If we are given the opportunity to be shown how exactly these things should be done, I believe if we are not able to do, then we will find one thing. The same problem cannot continue. And the same problem cannot continue, and the council will continue to bear the burdens of humiliations here and there. I think we have to find a lasting solution. And to me, the lasting solution is training, capacity building. And we need to know exactly how the Auditor General wants us to do this. Maybe they may say there is nothing like this is the way. But if they can show us one of the way how they want us to do it, I think from there, if we are not able to do, we found one thing. So with that note, I thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity to avail us to tell you people our problem. Our problem is we frankly, because something like I've been in the teaching field for so long, you give a problem to a student, to the class, and they cannot answer that problem continuously, then you know that there's a problem somewhere. So you have to go back and explain to them so that at least you can get exactly what you want from them. Otherwise, they will continue to fail your test or your examination. So in other words, for us to progress and to avoid such things that are happening now, I think the best solution is to build our capacity and to have, that will avail all councils to have a standardized format of reporting, and that will help us, because now as we are speaking, we have a standardized format of presenting our budget. And when we did that at the ministry, they can bear with us
all councils were able to perform as expected. So on that note, I thank you very much. And maybe if I have hurt anybody, I'm sorry for the remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CEO.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, my colleagues. Good afternoon, my chairman. Well, definitely this is something that we were expecting so that we can sit and discuss. Although we were having problems simply because we were working on manual. And these financial statements from the councils, it has been prepared. We used to prepare it. But the issue is the audit department, they don't accept our financial statements. You see, this is the issue. But not that it is not prepared. We used to prepare it, but the way we prepare it and the way they like it might be is different. You see, okay, me as an experience, I was the oldest treasurer in the council. I was the oldest treasurer in the council. We were preparing these financial statements, but it was not honored by them. Now the issue is here. This is the issue. Now these people are requesting the financial statements from 2015. From 2015 up to now, some of us were not in our offices at that time. The chairman, they were not in office in 2015. This is why, for me alone, I am saying that from 2015 to 2018, well, those ones will be very difficult to be prepared. But from 2018 upwards, I think with the help of the ministry, with the Auditor General, I think we can go through. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, CEO.
My name is Pafan Sudabo, CEO of Kuntoge Area Council. Definitely, I am very happy to be here to answer to your call as a family. We are very happy indeed. I would like to buttress 2 points to my observation. One is the capacity of the councils for the positions we are holding. It doesn't match with the requirement what we have. This is our main problem. 2, we inherit from our predecessors. What they were doing before is only income and expenditures. They were not making financial statements, indeed. Why? Because they cannot put values on our assets. The assets the council has, we don't inherit that. Like our buildings, our vehicles, our soft treasuries, with the values they are attached to. And then I think financial statement cannot be made without the assets. It forms part of it, integrated part of it. So I concur with the national audit to wholesale it and start it fresh, new page to show us the way how to do things. And let's forget about the past, because we inherit only income and expenditure. As we are non-profit organization, we are rendering service to the taxpayers. And every council is doing that. But the financial aspect of it is the problem. Why? Because they are not value type. Because as for us, we inherited. This is my observations. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, CEO. I think that was a very honest opinion. Thank you. We appreciate that. The financial directors of the councils present with us. Okay, I would just. The CEOs are not exhausted?
No,
okay.
he said it's okay.
From the CEOs, we would pass on the mic to the financial directors to also say what their problems are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm greeting all of you again. I'm the Director of Finance, Puntao area. Although I'm preparing my financial statement, to our council, I think we attempted something, and that was endorsed by this committee. But I had other speakers are saying even that was not the proper way of doing it. Okay, my doubt is, what is the proper way of doing it? Because we are adopting income and expenditure account, and income and expenditure is part of accounting policies. So if we are doing anything, it is not in terms of financial regulation. I think it's better for the specialist or auditor general or accountant general to come and tell us, no, this is not the best way. The best way is this: do this A, B, and C, and you will achieve what we are trying to do. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about is. This one and one specialist asks, he does not see fixed assets in our financial statement. Yeah, auditors are here. We are doing cash-based accounting. We are not doing accrual-based accounting. So auditors, they normally check our fixed asset register. So if they have any doubt on that, that becomes an issue. We are supposed to go by their recommendation, but in saying you don't see that in our financial statement, to me we are doing cash-based accounting. It's not accrual-based accounting. If I do accrual-based accounting, then you can prepare the balance sheet where you can see all these assets values. So I'm coming. Also, my boss has mentioned here, some of our assets are not value, especially in my council. Many of our assets are being donated, so you don't even know the depreciation value to those assets, and it's not fair also to attack the market value to those assets. That's why in our asset register on the value column we say donated. Okay, thank you very much. This is what I have.
Thank you. Noted.
Good afternoon, honorable members. By G.D. Sala, Director of Finance, Mansakok Area Council. I must confess that the problems in councils, especially in our department as finance, we lack capacity. When I came in as finance director of Mansakok Area Council, I was confused. I don't know where to start. My first work, before I joined the Mansakok Area Council, I was the chief accountant of Oxfam International, where performance based. You cannot perform, you cannot stay. But when I come, even whereas I'm a professional accountant, I need somewhere to start with. First and foremost, even my handing overs, no, it's crazy. We must, the capacity is there. We must join hands. We have colleagues, we have established a network with the finance directors, and we are working with the Ministry of, with our ministry, under the UNDP, who are supporting us to have a one chart of accounts. And by Saturday, I guess, we are all meeting to have a unified accounting system and operational. You know, accounting systems, without systems, is difficult. Manual accounting I inherited. Even my finance, there was no computer. You know, so even whereas no matter how much profession I am, sometimes I talk to my CEO, I say, sometimes I'm confused. Because I'm not used to this kind of systems. And it's like, we need to I'm sure by 2020 we will be able to, because we are prepared and we are ready to learn from one another. As finance directors, we will speak the same language and we will produce you a very excellent financial statements, I promise, by next time we meet. It is not a matter of whether we cannot do it, but if others can do it, why not us? Of course, finance is our area. We must be interested. Of course, if you are financial directors, you must be interested to your job. You have to love to your job. Otherwise, you will not be able to produce reports. And I must challenge my colleagues. And also, the most difficult aspect of it also, as we are saying, is like unplanned expenditures. We have a lot of problems. Honestly, a lot of problems in terms of expenditures, and that we must have to clear. Otherwise, the reports will not be genuine. I thank you all.
Madam Chair, good morning. Good afternoon. I think I'm the youngest meeting miss attending the meeting. But I believe what we are saying, like this is the problem, capacity is the problem of the council. Yes, it's true. But I think it's the smallest problem in the council. You know, we have to live like, I'm sorry to use this word, but we have to live like a human beings. We cannot live like animals. Even today, you wake up, you have to make your program for the day. Council, our problem is attitude. It's not capacity. We have to be committed to our job and change our attitude towards the job. Capacity is the smallest thing in the council. You can have all the knowledge. If the attitude is not there, you are nowhere. I think we have to challenge ourselves. I'm sorry, my dads are sitting, I am talking. But we have to change our attitude towards the council. Like free life, when you are working, you work for a legacy. I have to leave something here for my kids, for my grandchildren's coming. But even you have the best knowledge in this world, if the attitude is not there towards your job, you are nowhere. I am sorry, this is my contribution.
That's okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Ablai Khan, Director of Finance, Kerawan Area Council. I think our problems in council is unique. Yes, as he said, capacity is a little problem, but I concur with Salah. Systems, accounting, you need systems. Obviously, for me here, this is all a school of thought. Everybody is here to give a helping hand to see to it that this become history. So we start from today. To me, as I said, it's a school of thought here. But we need systems in place that are unique, obviously, to all councils that we apply, so that we can come to the question of, this being a history, the financial statement to be well prepared and submitted to you people. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm working at the council. As my colleagues rightly said, our problems at the council is the manual accounting system. As we all know, the manual accounting system is very difficult for you to generate your financial statements. So in doing this, we are trying to put all our heads together to have one unique accounting system. And then the government is coming up with the IFMIS system that we all expecting that if it comes, the problem of this financial statement will be passed on the tips. So I'd like to thank you all.
After hearing all my colleagues, I would like to concur with what the Auditor General said, that if at all it can be possible for us to start a new page as far as the financial statements are concerned. Even whereas we are given the computerizing accounting system, how our transactions are, I'm saying we cannot proceed without starting somewhere. So I concur with him that we open a new page. With any system that may come, we have somewhere to start, and that will help us a lot. To my observation, when we were appointed, we were never trained. With the Area Council accounting system, we were never trained. As stated by Mansa Kunku Area Council, their Director of Finance, he is, I don't know, an expert or an accountant or a chartered, but when he came, he was lost. I'm saying he needs training as far as Area Council accounting is concerned. It will be very important for us to have a training. All these Director of Finance we are seeing here, none of them was never trained on the Area Council accounting system. And we need experts who should put us through. After squashing everything, then we have a new page to start. Then we come up with a new accounting system that can only make us to succeed. Without that, it's going to be very hard for us to succeed. Even the accounting system may come today, I'm telling you, it will be very hard for us to succeed. So I think the Auditor General can help us better so that we can come up with something. We have a training directly concerning about Council's financial statement. That will help us a lot. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we give the floor to the ministry, I will allow Auditor General seems to have new.
To this, that there was guidance, a document that guides how area councils operate financially, which we call financial memorandum. The first one, of course, prepared, I don't know when. Of course, I also saw it. But there's detailed procedure in that manual as to how you prepare your end-of-year financial statements, no? Although it's income and expenditure. It is there and clearly stated. Yeah? But over the time, it was simply put aside and not followed. Essentially, that has been the case. Councils were generally not interested in preparing financial statements. It's received from pay to. That's all. Generally, that's it. That's how eventually this overall accountability process got eroded. Of course, somebody said that they have prepared financial statements and they have been accepted there. I am so, if you look at the financial, there will be except. No financial statement can be accepted without a proper basis, and there is no area council who have a proper basis of how do you call it, financial reporting license here. So it will be on offset. It will be accepted subject to a particular thing, because the balance that has been brought forward is defective. It has never been corroborated anywhere. So it cannot be a proper financial statement. essentially that will have been the case. What we need to do, like I said, we must go back to this system and put systems and procedures in place and follow them. We can have the best laws in the country. If they are not followed, it's not going to help us. And the problem of area council started by ignoring the regulations that we have had for ourselves. That's finance memorandum. Every facet of the area councils were in this memorandum, but they were not followed. That's how is it. I have been responsible for, during that time, many times going to trek, so I know Miss Ali and the old ones, because I've been going. I used to tell my staff, I think I can sit in my office and write a report on these area councils. It's the same report, year in, year out, almost. Year in, year out, the same issues, because the people simply don't care, because there is no follow. They don't act on the recommendations. I mean, somebody said here, one of the speakers said, we need to change attitudes. I think largely, it's also part of it. If we don't change those attitudes, it's not going to help anybody. They also mentioned the intervention of government, of course, your ministry. Your ministry, they are culprit in this particular article, deficit of the, they are part of the problem, yeah, because they had an inspectorate that was not almost dysfunctional. They'll go and come, and that was supposed to act as the internal auditor for all the area councils. So we must go back to this document. We can revive them, of course, adapt them, bring them so that current issues are included in them, and make sure that we implement them. That way we can help. You spoke about training. Capacity building is a continuous process. That one doesn't stop anywhere. Even if you, in fact, you had been doing very well, that should continue, because issues keep on evolving, new things keep on coming. In accounting, it's always a new thing every time. So training capacity building should be an integral part of any program. Somebody spoke about lack of planning on a plan expenditure, and somebody said people can come. You see, other councils were like that. You come, they come and give you and go. That's why they were able to implement their programs. You must have a plan. They said if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Essentially, that is it. You must have a budget, and every budget must have a contingency where emergencies are dealt with. When it is exhausted, tell the people it's exhausted. I think we must begin to grasp this reality of these things. Otherwise, we'll all suffer. We'll be here talking and nothing is going to help. We must grasp the reality of the day, that we have moved on, we have changed. And this is the current reality. That is the only way we can move forward. Mr. Chairman, but we have to budget, and try to stick to the budget. He spoke about the review of the small, the MAGA of the amount that they receive from revenue. But you cannot do that if you don't even establish what you should have in the first place. We must begin by carrying out a full assessment. Assessment of what revenue is available now. And then if you can think about increases, so that we can carry out development programs for the institutions. But if you don't know how much you should get in a totality, even BCC here would not be able to tell you. These are fixed structures. They could not tell you how much they can receive during the year. It's an estimate. Some people call it guesstimate, right? Simply say, okay, it should be 20,000. Yeah, that's what we get. So I think we must begin to have concrete plans in the place. And somebody spoke about not including fixed assets in their distance. You know, valuation is a critical issue. Even for us now, we are looking at a evaluator to come and look at our building because we don't include it in our account. National Audit Office also prepares income and expenditure statement currently. We know the time and the cost that will cost you. It will be a gradual process eventually. Government, like I said, committed to do cash basis in 2007 to graduate to accruals. We are still on cash basis, and government is still struggling to maintain that cash basis. If you look at the reports over the years, we'll see. So it's not a process that, but we must start somewhere. It's important. This gathering, we welcome it as a national vehicle very much, so that we can all begin a new phase. And I'm sure this committee will be a good one to say, okay, we'll draw a line from here and begin to move forward. And of course, the area councils will also pick on from there. And like the gentleman said, who said he may be the youngest here, we change our attitude. and try to, because look, you are the first contact person between government and the people. Area Council is a very important institution if you know what we're doing. It's the most important for me, yeah, for the people, because it's the first contact. We had good laws in the act, that decentralized person. It cannot take place if you don't have the right people in the place. Because that's what they say. Essentially, it means there's a lot of potential. When that whole decision process, you'll be paying the teachers in your region. It'll be your responsibility. All the civil servants in your region will be your responsibility. But why dare I transfer my money now to Basse, for example, and say pay the teachers and everybody else in the government? No. I don't have that trust. I don't have that confidence. So the area council also must come up, get this and ask for it. You demand. This power particularly is not given. It's asked for. You must ask for. And how do you ask for that power? Yes, by, of course, upgrading yourself, coming up to standard, and say, okay, I'm able to do this now, then bring it. I can do it. Because that's what is, so decentralization means, it was supposed to mean that you take care of your region, everything in that region.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Auditor General.
Sorry, just in principle, let me just clarify one thing about the gentleman said. Cash-based accounting is just a concept, and accrual-based accounting. Cash-based accounting is get the money and spend. Accrual-based is spend and then pay later. That's the only difference.
Okay. Thank you very much. I would now give the floor to the PS of the ministry to also shed light on this issue after hearing all the information from the council's chairman, CEO, and also finance directors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and the NAMS members present here, the committee, select committee members, Auditor General and the GPPA staff here present, the council, senior staff, and all other staff here present, and the staff from the ministry. I cannot say how happy I am today to be part of this discussion, to look at how we actually look at council's problem and come up with solutions, most of which have been discussed with councils time and time again. I think if Karamba Auditor General is working at the PMO, I will say maybe he must have had our discussion with council in terms of some of the issues as he explained just right now. Unless council is ready to take that things cannot be as usual, the business cannot be as before, we will not change. The major problem with council is, as my brother said, there is an attitude problem. When you say attitude, I mean people's attitude towards their expenditure, their attitude towards their work. This is a big issue. The ministry has constituted a body. And these are bodies that are required to help council. This has not been there, like the Service Commission, the Ad hoc Commission, that is the Finance and Audit. These things have been set up to help councils to operate. And the accounting platform that we are talking about, the ministry did. There were some platforms that were provided before. Were they used? It's not the issue of providing the platform. There were platforms provided. And the issue is they are difficult, they are not user-friendly. Right, the ministry, together with the Ministry of Finance and PMO, did a capacity need assessment at councils. And these are revealed. The idea was to have a common platform, as stated by some of the members here. We feel that if government is to help council to come on the IFMIS system, there has to be actually a unified accounting system in all the councils. And this study itself, in trying to do this, has revealed certain problems on the ground. And some of these, the CEOs and some financial directors and some senior officers were taxed. Now they are working on it, and in fact they said they are meeting on Saturday again to work on this. I will agree with my brother that capacity is an issue, but it's not the biggest issue. GPPA, the ministry consulted GPPA. We organized a procurement training at Tendaba. And we organized a training on finance, preparation of budget with Ministry of Finance as well. But the problem is council itself sending the right people to this training. Most of the time you organize a training, a CEO is not there. You organize a training, a finance director is not there. So, and these are the people who are supposed to take charge of these issues. A CEO must have to understand that he is answerable. He is the one in charge of that fund, and he is the one who has to be accounted for. No amount of pressure should sway you from your plan or your budget. Unless the CEOs take this position and know that they have to go by their budget, they are going to be responsible. And they have nobody to blame but themselves. It's like if a permanent secretary says it's a pressure that I have done a certain action, it's not good. But it's a bit confusing for a finance director to say, you have to train me on a statement. I believe it's just like when it's a man applying for a position of a CDS in an army and said, you have to train me how to fire a gun. It's funny. You are expected to know as a finance person who has gone to that level how to prepare a statement. For God's sake, let's accept the fact. Let's know that this is not something that we have to accept, that some of us have been put a square peg in a round hole. We have to accept that. This is a fact. And then as such, you don't have the capacity to deliver. But not because you need to be trained. You prepare your budget. Did you put training for your staff there? Who train you? Who should train you? Is it the ministry? Is it Ministry of Finance? Is it the National Assembly? You prepare your budget, you put training for your staff and train them. That is your responsibility. I think we always argue during the budgetary process. The budgetary process in councils don't follow the procedure. The budgetary process in councils is laid out. It should start from the village, go to the ward, and then to the council. And the same thing should apply when you are doing the implementation. You should go the reverse. You start from council, the ward, then the village. But this is not followed. And I'm happy that the people here, as a family member, have seen the problem and admitting the problem that spending outside the budget. Councils have turned themselves to be a donor agent. And I think this word, I say it every bilateral to CEOs and their members, that you are not a charitable organization. Every bilateral, I talk to them about this, contribution to disaster, contribution to Red Cross, contribution to presidential tour, contribution. Why are you getting the money to contribute to all these things? It's not there. And I'm very happy that the Auditor General made mention of one thing which I told all the councils. That is the first point of start. That is, all councils must make sure that the councillors working with them should be able to give them data on their ward in terms of revenue. What is your revenue base? I always clamor for the ministry together with the local government authorities to use Banjul as a sample. Banjul is having a fixed boundary which is not, it cannot be expanded. Banjul has almost the same development here in, here out. But go to Banjul and ask, what is your revenue base? It's not known. Then how do you plan? And if we cannot showcase Banjul, how do we showcase a place like KMC? Banjul is a fixed area. We can easily know how many compounds, how many shops, even those selling on the street, how many tables are on the street. We can even count them easily. Within 2 months, we can do it.
And this can serve as a base. But spending outside the budget, in fact, the development budget is never even 10% executed on any of the councils. The development budget is never even 10% executed in any of the budget. So how do we go? And we said 75% of our budget was development. And 65. No. I mean the development budget, out of that 60%, 75% of that comes from your budget. That's what I mean. And the 25% was supposed to be provided by government. Now, if you are telling government, give me my 25%, where is your 75%? Why is the 75%? I will agree, at some point, the 25% contribution was not forthcoming. But what were you claiming? You claim something that doesn't exist and you want government to provide it for you. It's not going to work. You provide an account which is based on wish list, and you come up with a figure because you want 25% of that figure to be provided for you. This is the case. We all went through a bilateral session that we provide. We introduce it with the councils. We say, before your budget comes, come to the office, let's sit down, go through your budget. And it was out of that that we engaged Ministry of Finance to come up with a common accounting, budgetary system which they are using this year. But then, even there, we will observe to the councils, what you are putting here is not applicable. They will say, but what can we do? And then, even there, the development budget and then the recurrent, your recurrent budget is increasing. It's heavy, very, very heavy. So if your development is taking, so if your recurrent is taking 80% of your revenue, you have 20% for development. How do you move? And still councils are recruiting. We said zero recruitment for a number of years. Let's try to sort out things. They are still recruiting. That's the fact. Any person who comes as a chairman or whatever politician, and then they want to bring CEO, they want to bring somebody in new. Is it sustainable? Is your budget able to handle it? It's not. So unless we as a council, local government authority, accept the fact that we ourselves are the problem, we are not going to move. I will agree with the fact that at some point the ministry by default was doing employment at councils. But we changed this. We know a body responsible. We set up that body. Even that body, people are challenging their recruitment process because they don't have it their way. We have appointed, maybe you people might not know, but those who spoke here, we've appointed some new members at the council. Their contributions have changed the face of most of those councils. We have seen situations where people have gone to an extent of revolving, changing the revenue collectors, moving them, changing their position, and this has paid dividend for the council greatly, to an extent that people started commending most of those councils in those performances. I think we as council must have to not only blame the capacity, must have to not only blame the need for a system, but we have to put and spend within our budget. And then we have to budget based on our revenue. There is a provision in the Act which says 40-60. The 40% go to your expenditure, recurrent, and whatever. Yeah. And then 60% goes to development. But is it attainable? But what is the proof? When every year councils produce a budget which is 60%, 60-40 compliance. What is the proof that it's not possible? That's not proof. Every year councils comply and produce a budget which is 40-60% compliance. Then who are we to say it's not applicable? Who is there observing that budget to say that it's not applicable? So if you are compliant, who dare to question you that you are not doing the right thing? So it's only when we have to accept the fact that we have a problem, accept the fact that we are the solution to that problem, and accept the fact that we have to ignore those pressures, and then when we are doing the budget, what we agree, we go by that budget. We are all working on budgets, whether at your home level or at your work level. If I'm getting a salary of 1,500 a month, I want to plan 10,000 project, it's going to fail. And that's the situation with council. I've seen a council of revenue base of about 18 billion or something. They have put a budget of more than 36 billion. How do you attain it? When your last year budget tells you that your revenue is like 18 billion, the year before tells you it's about 18 billion, the year in year out previous years tell you it's about 18 billion or 19 or 17. You are putting a budget of 36 billion. Where do you get the revenue from to address that problem? So I think the fact of the matter is we are blaming the Local Government Act, we are blaming all these things. The act and the laws are there. When they are the ones existing, we have to adopt on it. We have a constitution, 1997 constitution, people are not happy with. But the government doesn't just come and say, okay, let's put it aside and then now go. No. We are going by it, and then we go along and see how we comply with it until we have a change. So if we have a law that is not reflecting what we are doing 100%, but the 80-70% that it is compliant, let's go by that until we have a change of that law. So I will not agree with the fact that we have problems with the act. It's true, there are issues there which need to be adjusted, like any other act, but then using that as the base of our problem is what we should stop. Madam Chairman, the director is here who is responsible for local governance, whom I would like to come also to give some more statement. But I want to conclude here with one statement. That is, this ministry has started looking into the audit reports, and we have collating all the findings and all what is in the audit report, and we will submit this to the the Service Commission, because we are not the right body. The reason why it takes that long, as a ministry, we cannot directly act on those disciplinary actions on that thing. So the Service Commission is responsible for that. And all CEOs, I must say, whether you comply, whether you try to satisfy people, or you try to appease your community, you are going to be accountable. And then any penalty that comes out of it is going to be you and you alone. No community will be called to answer to why did the CEO gives you that money to do it. And one attitude, Madam Chair, I want to point out here is councillors in the councils under this, the council itself, together with the CEOs, councillors are not implementing bodies. And I'll repeat, councillors are not implementing bodies. I've seen instances, councils are giving councillors money to go and implement projects. Then who supervises those projects? It's the councillor at the council who should supervise the project. So if we give a councillor 10,000 because you think they are noisy, they are making noise, you give them money, go into an area and build a road and do a project. For God's sake, a project must be planned, costed. Then you know how you monitor and evaluate that project at the implementation stage. So if I give me 10,000, I go to, I said I build this feeder road. How do you know my implementation against what the budget? How do you prove that? Nothing. It's just going to be a full stop. So whether we like it or not, this is the hard fact that is facing council. Council doesn't want to come out of what is being done before to come into what is right and what should be done. And I will urge all council staff, especially the accounting officers and the policy body, to be very much sensitive to their budget. Because now we have a budget. I, as a permanent secretary, at every permanent secretary retreat, I will be reporting on council's budgets now. because you are under my purview, I will be explaining your development and your, especially your development budget will be reported at that level, that the projects you said you are going to implement for your community will be reported. So at the end of the year, you should be expected to be, people to be questioning. So let's put the realistic things on the budget. And in the, Madam Chair, in the next bilateral, this year it was late, we will have your committee represented at that bilateral level to see some of these things, how we go about, and then how we do it. And then we also send a letter for us to have a member from the select committee as part of the ad hoc finance and finance committee, so that some of these things, we are all in it, and we all know, and we all are part of the solution. Because in as much as we want to solve the problem, if we are not knowing the bottom line of the problem, you might not be able to solve it. That's why during the bilateral, we ask all councillors to have their Finance and Audit Act member as part of that process, so that they know what they are doing at their chambers has implications. So that they also don't put pressure on their CEOs unnecessarily. They will know that there are implications into these actions that they are trying to put across. So I will stop here for now and allow some of my team members to come up with some of the observations. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, PS, for the insightful discussion and opinion. I thought that was all the ministry had to say. If I knew this was going to end up like this, possibly this should have been a retreat, because I don't think we can exhaust the issues in a day, but we'll try. So we'll allow, just for us to keep the time factor in mind and shorten our contributions. Thank you.
Mine will be brief. Madam Chair, thank you so much for organizing this discussion. It is an opportunity for Council, for the Ministry, for all stakeholders present here to really hear from the committee the constraints being faced when it comes to its presentations with regards to financial statements. Each and every one of us has a role to play to ensure that come next time, we don't have to face you in this manner, so that our job is done as we are supposed to do or expected to do it. I must admit that at some time we have failed to perform our monitoring and inspection role. But I want to assure this body that the Directorate of Governance of the Ministry will soon resume its mandate of monitoring and quarterly inspection of councils. This avails us the opportunity and serves as a pre-audit before the coming of the national audit to perform the exercise. Hopefully with this, as experience has shown over the years, will actually minimize, will not eradicate, but will minimize some of the problems being experienced at council level. Our doors are open. If ever there are constraints, always come forward and we see how best to overcome such challenges. If, Madam Chair, if you may allow me to shed light on this signatory business. If we look at, let me start from the top level, from the executive level. Rectify me if and where I go wrong. The President of the Republic, is he a signatory to any government account? We come down one step further, below. The honorable ministers in their respective sectors, are they signatories to their accounts? As far as I know, the permanent secretaries are the accounting officers of sectors, and hence signatories to their respective accounts. Council, therefore, is like National Assembly at the local level. And even where we are seated, I'm not sure if the Speaker is the signatory to the accounts of the National Assembly. So our role as chairpersons is policy. At the level of the Council, the Chief Executive Officer is the accounting officer of Council. He is the budget holder. So requesting to be part of the signatories to the account, the law doesn't provide that. And that is why in all our councils, we have in place internal audit units that are not answerable to the CEO, but answerable to the chair as checks and balances. I cannot be a player on the pitch at the same time a referee. If that should happen, there will be no winner of the game. So let us bear in mind that that is not our role as chairpersons. Account signatories, the law has provided for directors of finance and their CEOs. Of course, the CEO is the account and budget holder, primarily responsible for all the incoming and outgoing of finances of council. So I don't want to take much of our time, but we have heard your cry, we have heard your complaints, we have heard your way out, how we as this body should go about settling this issue, so that come next appearances at the National Assembly, we don't have to be challenged as we are challenged today of our failure to produce or provide financial statements. Let us not allow the situation to repeat itself next time around. When we leave this hall, we shall team up. I hope we'll have the cooperation of the National Audit Office, so that we see how best this problem can be solved and solved for once, so that it doesn't reoccur year in, year out. I believe there must be a way out. It is not enough to say 2 years, 3 years, nothing can be done. Something can be done. If we are prepared for it, certainly we'll have this problem solved. I wasn't born to occupy the post I'm occupying today, but I've passed, whether lengthy or short-term training, I have undergone some form of training that warranted me to occupy the post I'm occupying today. So for us to say that no matter how long it will take, councils will not be able to prepare their financial statements, I beg to differ. Let us put our heads together and see how best we can build the councils out of this scenario, so that come next time around, we will be in a better position to provide the financial statements, which is just like an equation. In its absence, the equation cannot be solved. And therefore, to solve the equation, we must address this issue and come up with adequate, acceptable financial statements by the National Audit Office. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Chair, I want to take leave of you. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if you may allow me, there is a little bit of clarification I want to make.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been copied in a letter which was sent to the, I'm surprised the Galga is not here. I want us to clarify this issue, because if not, it will create a lot of misconception in the councils. I have been copied in a letter where Galga is writing to the Madam Speaker, saying that councils are not supposed to answer to PACPEC. This is a very strange and a very misleading information that we need to address here and make the councils to know that they are answerable. National Assembly is a representative of the people and is the third arm of government. So if they are not answerable to National Assembly, the PACPEC is a misinformation. And I want us to clarify that and clear it here. I wanted Galgat themselves to be here. I was not written to, I was only copied in the letter. But as far as the councils are here, I want to bring this up. For us to understand that you are representing the public, you are dealing with public fund, and the National Assembly is representing the same people, and they have the right to pump in. They're pumping into government. So let's be clear with issues, and then let's not confuse each other to an extent. Is council running away from responsibility? No. Why are we creating that kind of a thinking and belief that maybe council is hiding something, that's why they cannot be audited? Why? Councils have been doing, even with their shortcomings, but they have been cooperating, they have been doing their thing, they have been reporting, they have been cooperating and then doing their thing. Is it not to the interest of the council to go to a PACPEC or a National Assembly committee and then come out and then they say the council has complied and then they have done what they have supposed to do there? Is that not what a credit for a council? Why do we want to deny them that? Why do we want to create a confusion that will make people think that council, in fact, they are hiding? Why can't they go? Why shouldn't they go to the National Assembly? I believe, as far as I know, I don't think council is hiding anything. And I think with all the shortcomings, councils are trying to meet up to the expectation of the whatever is expected of them. I think we should not try to push that aside by making people believe that, you know, councils are hiding something or they should not be answerable to some bodies or whatever.
Thank you
Even
very much.
if a body is there, sorry, which is not subscribed in the acts or whatever, if they are
if you look at the Financial Provisions Act, Central, yes, the Local Government Act 2002, yes, Part 7, Financial Provisions. It says accountability. Section 129, every council shall, an emphasis added to the word shall, answer through to the council from the election, and the National Assembly is appropriated to the council a consolidated revenue so take that note, and I don't know why Galga would write such a letter without making law. Will be circulating such a letter without making reference to the committee. I promise will handle that. Thank you. Yes.
Speak, I see.
If I may just. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Just to add on to what the Honorable Chair has just said, may I refer the Honorable subsection make provision for the function, powers, and duties of national local government authorities, including provision for management, control, and oversight of the authorities, and audit of its among others. In that noting that one should raise such misleading statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, honorable member. So we'll put that to the side and continue a very legal meeting. To get
Okay. Madam Chair, thank you for giving me the floor. This meeting is long overdue. Today is the best day. I just want to appeal to all the councils. Let them use their 2020 so that they can train their of finance statements. Auditor General as soon as possible. That's the
I will add as already been said is that we provided the councils with a lot of instruments, documents. Try to read these documents to the best of your figure in dust. We've provided you with all the necessary as operational tools. Straighten definitely these tools, even your emails. Finding it difficult, documents that we've provided you. From our end. That possibility is there. We will do our best at our end, but your cooperation.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, committee members and all other. My name is Jaina Bajalo from the GPPA. Due to time constraint, I have only two major problems I want to share with you concerning procurement-related issues with councils. Honorable Chair, to be frank and honest with you, the first problem we encountered during the period of our review exercise on procurement-related issues is the non-involvement, the non-independency of procurement officers. The chairmans and CEOs are present here. Finance is here today. I don't know why procurement officers don't follow you. But we observe that procurement officers are not independent. Most staffs at councils want to involve in procurement, which is a violation of the law, the GPPA Act. Procurement officers have to be independent. The second problem we encountered, Honorable Chair, is the lack of not implementing our observations or our recommendations when we go out for our annual compliance review exercises. Because at the end of each exercise, we discuss our observations with you. We share our observations with you. So we expect them to implement, but most of the councils here are not implementing our recommendations. And we have a recommendation here, as everybody is talking about capacity. We also recommend as the authority to build their capacity, especially the capacity of their contrast committees and their procurement officers. It's very important. We will also recommend for them to build their capacities. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much to everyone present here, from the ministry to the chairman to the CEO and finance directors, honorable members, auditor general. Since morning we've been here discussing, and I would say since becoming an honorable member, this is really one chaired, because we have had problems, we have had people offer solutions, have been frank. And I believe from here, we can have a plan on how to move forward and really put all of these issues behind us. People deserve from this meeting. I believe we will really find solutions. I would now open the floor for honorable members to seek clarifications on certain recommendations moving forward. Honorable members, I welcome your suggestion. I'll have Honorable back.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for giving me the floor. The meeting is really, and we could see that we are a step ahead in achieving why we call this meeting. But there are some issues that came up during the meeting and which I think I want to presenters to shed more light on them. But I want to also ask questions to Ministry, to the Permanent Secretary, that I want to know how cordial is your ministry with the councils? As some of a member of your team mentioned that this a similar meeting, in fact, should come from your ministry to do this before this meeting. And it seems to me then there is not that cordial interaction between you, a body who is supervising the councils. And also, PS, if you look at it, Section 149 of the Act, Local Government Act, says, 149C says the Department of State shall, let us say, assist in the provision of the technical assistance to local government authorities. This problem has been persisting for quite a long time, and it seems that the local government authorities could not come out of it. Why your ministry did not intervene to assist them to come out of these difficulties that they are talking about? Yes, they make their budget, they should train their people, but it's a problem that has been existing, and they mention a lot of capacity gaps. And I really want to ask the chairman too, this capacity gap, why you could not identify what you should do, whether in collaboration with your ministry or at your council level, why you could not tackle this capacity gap up to now? Or are you just sitting there waiting for somebody to come in to help you? The, how to call it, audit office, they've been auditing you. And all these years, I think they told the council that the way they make their financial statement is not the appropriate way. And I want to believe that if you don't know the appropriate way, then you should ask the National Audit Office then what is the right way to do it, so that they can give you a clue to work towards that. But it has not been happening. So that comes to the gentleman's intervention that we need to change our attitude. If we know the problem and we are not doing anything about it, then the problem will never be solved. Okay, then I will stop here and allow my other colleagues to come in. I have, maybe they will.
Okay, because we can't exhaust it. I will allow the Honorable Chair, maybe he has another suggestion on how we can move faster with this meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. To begin with, I want to say that even whereas I wasn't here, this was a collective concern of the Select Committee. And I'm an individual, with or without me, things are going to go. We have all seen what have transpired in my absence. The meeting initially was intended for all the councils, including BAC, KMC, and BCC. But we were informed that some key individuals from those three councils are going to be absent. That is why we said then we will have the meeting in two folds. Don't think that it's only limited to your councils. Other councils are equally going to appear, where more sensitive issues are going to be discussed. I want to say all of us here have forgone one or two very important functions. All of us here. That goes to emphasize the importance of this meeting. But again, I must commend Mr. Tarawale from the National Audit Office, who challenged us, the Select Committee. In an essence, I will say he was exposing our inefficiency as a Select Committee. And he is right in doing so, because when councils appear to present their activity reports and financial statement, we reach an agreement with the councils to say, go back and do X, Y, Z. We will come back to see where you are. We had the opportunity to visit few councils, but we could not visit all the councils. Again, there was a gap from the office of the clerk, because they facilitate our going in and out. So if we are not facilitated, we cannot go out. So we have to make that clear to him. We went further to say then there is need, because like the PS rightly mentioned, and key other people that spoke before me, that since the inception of councils, this has been a persistent problem, and we need to lay it to rest. How do we do that? During the discussions, a lot of issues have surfaced, and a lot of issues have been addressed by various speakers. Now, the way I want us to approach it further is, unless issues that need individual clarifications, I want us to come up with ideas as to which year should be the baseline for the preparation of the financial statement. We have to agree as a team with the guidance of the National Audit Office. We must have a baseline. And the baseline will show what you were able to do, what you couldn't do, what challenges you had. And the baseline will also go to expose some of the issues that you have highlighted, because it cannot get it all right. And where one is found wanting, I must be very clear, where one is found wanting, I'll underline the word wanting, we will take the necessary steps. So whether we're going to start from 2014, 2019, or which year, that depends on the agreement collectively with the guidance of the National Audit Office. Because it's very, very painful, like I said earlier on. When you come to present your report, the entire Parliament is waiting for when the Select Committee will present their report at plenary. Nothing happens. And again, funnily enough, we all live within where councils are. They can bear me witness. We even got an information that councils say the most challenging days is the day they will present their report before the Select Committee, and what actions should be taken by the Select Committee. Once that is over, till next year again, they are free. Yes, I must be honest with you. I'm not going to hide. I must be honest with you. But there are key issues. Going to the GPPA, the independence of the procurement officers in councils is a must adhere to. Yes, I am saying this because it's an issue, a concern that has been raised by the people that go to the field. Please give them their liberty. If they are not independent, are you telling us that there is something underneath? And in some cases, they made mention of where the committee is not constituted. Why? There should be a procurement committee. As per the Local Government Act, why is it not established? And worst of all, as important as a training where the CEOs are supposed to attend, they delegate. How can you come back and report accordingly? You cannot, because you delegated. And when you delegate me, you don't know whether I'll be able to come back and give you accurate feedback. So it's key.
Now I want to appeal to my colleagues. Let's look at the most asked questions for clarity. We bring them, and we try in as much as possible not to spend too much time, because if all of us want to, like Mr. Honorable Njai spent maybe more than 5 minutes, I want to spend 10 minutes, somebody else want to come and spend 15 minutes, we may not come up with a lasting solution as per how do we address all these challenges that are confronted. So the issue of council ministry relationship, for me that is not that much important as far as this gathering is concerned. That is for the two institutions, the parent ministry and the council. If there is any distance in the relationship, it's for them to forge the relationship and not for us to tell them what to do. But here our major concern is the Auditor General raised a very, very, very important thing. And this, colleagues, I think we should get an answer from the council. The Auditor General said the system that was given to them as per the preparation of their financial statement was ignored. It was never implemented, if I got you right. Or if I did not get you right, you can clarify, and we need an answer to that one, because that one is key, without which you cannot prepare a financial statement.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, basically these are some of the things I want to ask.
Since you're concerned about the time, I'll have to, I think there are two honorable members I need to give a chance that have not said anything. I will start with
Honorable Jal.
Yes, okay. And then Honorable So.
Thank you so much, Madam.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. It's just a small point of rectification I would like to make before this gathering. Like when my Honorable Chair said that Mr. Is it Drame? Trawale show us the inefficiency of this select committee. Here, he does not mean definitely the committee is not inefficient, because we have led several reports before the plenary and they were all endorsed by the House. So here, what he meant was that we the Select Committee of Regional Government, IEC and Ombudsman, are very lenient with councils. And henceforth, after this meeting, any council found wanting would face the sanction. So this is what he meant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for keeping it short. Honorable Saul, you have the floor.
I think mine is going to be the shortest. Honorable Chair, I just want clarity, like the question my colleague asked, that some of the CEOs, including chairpersons who are here, lamented that there is a political interference in some of the councils. I just want to know whether it is still happening with this current government or it has already things of the past.
Okay. Thank you. Before I allow another honorable member to come in, I would just allow someone from the council, the chairman, to just answer his question before we move on, because I would like for us to go to a break and then come back and bring solutions on the table. Yeah. Thank you.
Why don't you allow the chairman of Ambassador to respond on that?
Okay, he was the one who made that comment. Okay, Janjaburi chairman, you have the floor.
Can you please start the mic? No, there is a mic. Okay, there is a mic. You sleeping.
I did not say there is political interference in my country. I did not. I just mentioned that we are politicians at that level. And then my suggestion had been, if the finance is to be audited, I think a formula or a setup could come up where the council can be putting in the activities, so that when they come to audit the finance, it could correspond to the activities which are programmed by the council. the chamber, so that you can get it. Okay, my belief. But then if you are getting everything, both the activities and the finance from the same direction, it may be, it may not be. But then I think it would be more satisfying if the council is given a way out where it inputs all the activities that are accepted, that are mandated by council for the CEO to implement. Because it's the spending officer. And then the authorizing one is the council, the chamber. Whatever the chamber does is written down, stipulated, so that when auditors come, they can use those activities against the spending.
Okay.
So that it is on both sides. That's what I suggested. And then as politicians, hence we are part of the whole thing. That's the way. But then it's been given out that individual people have been questioned. I wish it could be something that is established, that can be followed up, just like the financial part of it. Thank you. That's what I said.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. On that note, I would like for us to go on a break. Lunch is being served. It's been a long day. Sorry, honorable members. We will come back and then continue the discussions. Thank you very much. We'll have let's see what the time is. We'll have 30 minutes break. And let this be a walking lunch. You can sit together as a group and see which solutions you would like to come up with regarding the issues that have been raised. So it's not a free time. We are still working. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. 30 minutes. Ah? 30 ñu gaawal man de dama de lekka bu gaaw. Thank you. I think this meeting was long overdue. I am very happy. I'm very happy. I know. This is very important, huh? Yes, we are working. I like it when we are working.
Thank you.